All right. We are here again. Again. This is number 2. All right. With Danny from CoinCorner. And I am really excited. We've had a lot of firsts here at Lightning Ventures lately. And this is the first time that we've been waiting 7 months to close a deal. Okay. We were excited
Yeah.
about it 7 months ago. We're even more excited about it now. We're going to get all the recent updates because so much has happened with CoinCorner. And this is actually the first time that we've done a second video, right? Because this opportunity is still open. And maybe if you're a founder out there and raising funds, maybe Danny's got a few insights and things to share about what he's learned over the past few months with that process as well. And we have a ton of updates. Okay, so first off, Danny from the Isle of Man. If you don't know where that is, look it up on the map. Danny, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me on for the second time. And I think, as always, being patient with myself and CoinCorner at the minute.
All right. So Danny owes us no apologies because he's been busy as all heck putting together this round. And you're either doing two things, right? You're either fundraising or you're building your company. It is very hard to do both. But not only has he managed to do both, he has executed unbelievably with many updates and partnerships that we'll get into here. So first off, can we go over the exciting news that broke regarding the UAE?
Yeah, sure.
And this picture right here, this is money in the bank right here, buddy. This is classic. Look at that. He's got the hair combed in the suit. I mean, that is just great.
That's
All
the
right,
first
so
time wore a suit in quite a few years.
first time maybe since his bar mitzvah or maybe his Catholic communion. All right, so
Yeah.
so break this down for us. What exactly happened here? And this was huge news.
Yeah, it was, I think, a little bit surreal from our side, which was a really positive thing. The guys at the family office reached out to us back in March this year, and we kind of, at first, we didn't really think it was real. We kind of pushed it off, ended up ignoring them for a month or so. Then they eventually chased, and we eventually checked in on that in terms of doing the due diligence on them, who they were. I messaged a couple of them on LinkedIn just to clarify it was really them reaching out to us. Which was good, and I'm glad we pursued that. And we picked up the conversation then in sort of March, April times. What this effectively means is we've created a partnership with, or a JV almost, with the private office, the Seed Group. The Seed Group are the private office of, as you can see there, Sheikh Saeed bin Ahmed Al Maktoum,
That's
who
this
is
guy
one of
here.
that is the CEO of the Seed Group. That's one of the that's his excellence. People refer to him as. So what they do is they find companies all around the world that are innovating in new emerging technologies, and they look to try and bring them into the UAE and Dubai, and they look to help set the company up, set the office up, bring in their network of connections. What they saw with, obviously, cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in itself of expanding the way it is, they wanted to bring in a Bitcoin company into the UAE to help introduce Bitcoin payments to the country. So with their network of what they have, I think you'll see mentions there as you're scanning through some of that article. They have obviously very high up connections within government and governmental departments. They have incredible connections in terms of companies they own and companies that the Al Maktoum family, the royal family, own within their groups. And the idea and the concept is they will introduce CoinCorner into these companies to accept Bitcoin payments effectively. So it's incredibly, I guess, massive opportunity for CoinCorner, but I think it's a massive opportunity for Bitcoin as a whole, where we're now seeing countries like the UAE and decision makers within these countries able to, or at least acknowledge and start to act on Bitcoin adoption and what they can do for their country. Whether they see that from a UAE perspective as a new I guess similar to what we saw with El Salvador, where El Salvador made a Bitcoin legal tender and it created a attraction for tourists and bringing tourists in and tourism. So there's a couple of angles there. There's the angle of obviously just in terms of a new use technology and cheaper payments. There's massive remittance markets in the UAE, from even Dubai alone to the likes of the Philippines. I think it's like a $2.1 billion yearly remittance market. Plus all the other countries that also may remit from the UAE out to different areas. They also, I guess, see this as I guess some of the things we saw from seen earlier in the year from the Russia-Ukraine war and the issues they had there, and Russia being cut off from the rest of the world effectively in terms of legacy financial systems. We've all witnessed that, and we've all seen that in real time happening. And I guess every country now is beginning to probably be a little bit scared that if they do anything wrong as well, and they end up on some form of sanction or some form of cut off outside of the legacy financial system, moving into something like Bitcoin starts to open up or de-risk that happening to them, I guess. So I think the UAE is seeing that as well as an opportunity there to start moving away from legacy financial systems, the Visas, the MasterCards, and even the Swift payments and so on. And even almost, I know, apologies to the US guys, but removing that US dollar requirement, I guess, throughout a lot of the world that is pushed or inherited onto them. So I think that reliance on the US dollar and things like that, it starts to open, I guess, what a lot of people in the Bitcoin industry see as Bitcoin potentially becoming a new global reserve currency. I think other people are obviously seeing that and thinking, it's very, very early days still, but is that an option, and is that something they need to explore, which is effectively what they're looking to do now, I guess.
So let's get into the license real quick, and kind of the timeline on that and what's going to be required out of you in order to operate out here. And so it says focusing on establishing a user-friendly platform. Okay. So is this the same type of CoinCorner that you have now, or is this a separate kind of site? How does this look?
Yeah, no, it's just CoinCorner as it is today. So that will be CoinCorner dropped into or opened up to the UAE. That'll be the website, the mobile app, the POS systems that we can drop in, and everything in between, I guess, all lightning payments, the bulk cards. The bulk card was actually quite a favorite of theirs and the committee at the family office. They are seeing that once they've seen that in action, seeing how that works, all of a sudden that's removing that reliance on Visas and MasterCards and potentially moving into a Bitcoin standard for payments. So that, and again, I know full well this is a long-term play, and this is going to take many years to play out, but they are seeing that now and seeing like grabbing the adoption, grabbing the emerging technologies and trying to adopt them as early as possible. So yeah, that's definitely something that is in their heads at the minute. The timelines, the company in Dubai is officially opened from last week. So we've officially opened the company there. The office will be in the coming weeks or months, and the license will be probably March, April time by the time we should be approved on a rough timeline. At that point, hopefully April time, we can go live and start operating there.
All right. So the UAE's Bitcoin and otherwise crypto market is the third largest in the Middle East. Okay. Transaction volumes around 26 billion. Now you can fact check this all you want, but this is from a Bitcoin magazine article. And over the previous financial year, the market there grew an astounding 1,500%. That's 1,500%. From 2020 to 2021. So this is a really big deal. It was a big deal when it happened. what do you think this means? Is this real?
It's real. The I think um, the way I'm seeing this at the minute is Dubai. Well, I first visited Dubai this year for the first time. I'd never been prior to the partnership with the C Group, and when I visited, what I was surprised to see there was how advanced they are technologically. Everything is incredibly advanced, even in comparison, or very similar to the UK. But there is certain things that we're still even more advanced than the UK would be. It's silly things, small things like ATMs, where they have like contactless ATMs, where you can go and just tap your card and then withdraw money from an ATM, which is something that I've never seen before, and we don't even have in the UK. But everything they do is very much driven to grab emerging technologies and increase tourism, I think, for a heavy part. And the more you can create there of this futuristic looking city, in particular Dubai, that increases tourism and brings people in that want to come and live in these environments and these conditions. So I think what they are doing at the minute is incredibly positive for cryptocurrency in general. And I hate using the word cryptocurrency as well, but cryptocurrency in general, it's still incredibly positive. I think even we've had the recent FTX issues, which have cropped up these last couple of weeks. Even with them, the guys we speak to over there, they kind of understand what's happened there, and they know it's nothing. It's a people issue, FTX, not a cryptocurrency issue, and they're still pursuing and moving the right direction. So a few hiccups, but nothing major. And the good thing is they have it in their heads and their understanding of it. So I think they understand the fundamentals of what cryptocurrency can become for the country, and that is their direction that they're driving in. So yeah, incredibly positive, and hopefully, the way I guess hopefully I have in my head is these businesses there in Dubai will adopt it just as well as the governments and the individuals at the minute driving this movement. I think will. So yeah, very big things to come from there.
So Dubai is somewhat of a crypto place. A lot of these crypto trader influencer type of people, even Stefan Livera, a lot of people have moved there for favorable taxes and other things. So that's pretty cool to see. So that will be a really big market. Let me ask you right now, what is the number one kind of way that people are buying and purchasing stacking sats in the UAE right now? Who leads out there? Is it a big name exchange?
Um, it's a bit of a weird one because there is the likes of Binance and Kraken, and they have kind of like provisional licenses at the minute there, but they're not really operating at the retail level that we will expect once the license goes live, as in having like local banking and local currencies and being able to do it in a local capacity. Kraken are obviously introducing that with the license that they've got going on with the provisional. And Binance kind of, what they're like, they just operate all over the world wherever they want, but they haven't got the local currency. There are a couple of smaller ones. There's CoinMina and the other name slips my mind. But there's a couple of smaller ones as well that are operating there and have been for quite a few years now, but nothing of Kraken Binance scale. So initially, I think there's about 52, is it 52 or something like that, businesses on the initial applications for the licenses. Not all of them being exchanges, they'll vary from all different types of cryptocurrency or Web3, I think, has fell into that, and NFT style things have fell into that as well. So there's a quite a big batch about to push through. But I think, yeah, of size, Kraken is probably the more reputable, sizable one there, I think, at the minute.
So this license that you're obtaining out there in the UAE, that's the same license that Kraken has provisionally right now, or this is a different license?
It will effectively, yeah, the provisional one Kraken have at the minute will move into the actual license, which is the same one that we are going through as well. So it'll be the same same one effectively. There won't be quite the same products. Obviously, Kraken is more of the trading platform exchange, as opposed to ourselves, which are more Bitcoin focused and Bitcoin utility payments focused. So, as far as we're aware and understanding, we'll probably be the only Bitcoin payments company there, in terms of allowing their businesses to accept Bitcoin payments via POS or via email invoices and e-commerce and so on.
All right. So that's Dubai, and that's huge news. And that has happened since we originally first started hanging out. So, story number 2. Okay, here we go. And that is the wildly successful Bolt card that has broken the internet and been a big favorite as terms of giveaways and conferences. And I think you did something with Sats Back, maybe. They gave away some cards, and you're doing some branding for some other people. And so there was big news that came out with CoinCorner and El Salvador. And we missed you down there, Danny.
Yeah,
We missed
yeah,
you at the second annual adopting. We'll have to get you there next year. But
yeah,
you've been to El
yeah.
Salvador a couple of times now, right?
I haven't personally, no. Some of the team have. They've been there. I unfortunately haven't been able to make it yet. I was planning to come this year, but unfortunately everything else just became too busy and didn't have the capacity to get there. But yeah, we opened up to El Salvador in October. The idea of what we're trying to do there is, I think, you probably saw yourself, and obviously you've been there and experienced it. And I think the usage of Bitcoin there is still lacking. And having conversations with people on El Salvador and why Bitcoin is not being used as commonly as you would hope with a country that's made it legal tender. It's hard to try and pin down, what's the problems? Why are people struggling to pay with it? Are they just not wanting to pay with it? Do they not understand it? There's a lot of education, I think, is probably a key part still to do there. With the Bolt card, we saw that as an opportunity to try and bring in something that was a little bit more UX friendly to people. So it would be a much, much simpler way to pay with Bitcoin. They don't have to get the phone out and open the wallet up and scan QR codes. They can go and tap and pay. It's quicker, it's easier, a much smoother experience. So introducing that sort of UX into an environment that it can be used on a national scale is something we wanted to push and try and test out and see how that improves, and if that improves usability or actual usage of Bitcoin in El Salvador. So we've teamed up with a couple of guys there. We've got one highlighted there, which is Ibex Mercado. So they've got the POS systems all over El Salvador with I think Starbucks and other various outlets there. So they're slowly rolling out the capability, the functionality for the Bolt card to be compatible with their merchants. And as they roll them out, we're going to be pushing the Bolt card. We're effectively airdropping Bolt cards into them areas for free, so people can go to one of the local shops, for example, one of the restaurants. They can grab their own Bolt card, get a CoinCorner account, set it up, and off they go, and they can go and use it and pay with it. The idea of that is, I guess, more of a a grassroots ground up approach. Obviously, El Salvador's gone kind of at both sides, to be fair to them. They've got the ground up approach from the El Zonte, the Bitcoin Beach side of things, where they've had on the ground education, and it seems to have worked very well in them areas. But yet they've had the top down approach of the government effectively forcing Bitcoin on the country. And it's kind of like meeting in that middle of eventually, hopefully that becomes over the next couple of years, enough awareness from the top-down approach, but enough education from the bottom-up approach to be able to meet in the middle and hopefully see much wider usage. And that's where we hope the Bolt card can kind of fit in to help from a UX perspective. You could set the Bolt card up for a relative or friend, family, whatever, that doesn't know how to use mobile phones, may not even have a mobile phone, but they can set that up with your mobile phone, give them a Bolt card, they can go off and pay for the shopping and do that with a contactless offline card. So early days there still with as we roll it out with Ibex, but hopefully again coming into the new year we'll start to see some usage and see how that affects usage and does it increase usage and so on. So yeah, we'll look forward to reporting back to that in 2023.
So the decision to go to El Salvador, or which will be, hopefully greater Latin America, and other countries, right? Neighboring countries, maybe Guatemala, I don't know, Honduras, I
Mhm.
don't know. But what's the regulatory framework like? I know that there is a El Salvador Central Bank that has a cryptocurrency type of license. Did you have to apply for that? How is that process? Can you just go over the regulatory framework, and will you eventually be able to sell Bitcoin in El Salvador and offer kind of some of the exchange services that you currently have now?
Yeah, so the regulatory side of things is because we're an Isle of Man company. It's not been we don't need a license in El Salvador, so we can operate there without the license as long as we're under the Isle of Man and doing what we do from an AML perspective. We can onboard El Salvadorans. Um, from the selling the Bitcoin to them, we can do that. So from a regulatory point, legal point, we can do that. The what we haven't really done yet is turn on the fiat on ramp side of things. So it's more of you can have a CoinCorner wallet and you can have a bulk card. You can send Bitcoin in and hold it in US dollar tether effectively, and you still be able to spend on your bulk card from US dollar, similar to a kind of a bank, I guess, in that respect. But you can't actually buy Bitcoin with us yet. We will eventually open that up once we get the fiat on ramp side of things in place. That we're still early days with, and we just want to kind of test the waters with the bulk card and see how that progresses first, and then we'll look to introduce the fiat on ramp side.
So I see that you have the IBEX partnership listed here. There might be a few others that aren't disclosed yet. What are your thoughts on the number one finance app, according to the Google Play Store, in El Salvador, Bitcoin Beach Wallet? We were there, and this year, many stores, many places, hotels, all have a nice big Bitcoin Beach Wallet sign at the register and point of sale. And no knock on IBEX, right? They're going hard out there, and that's a big push. That's a big market, Latin America. So I'm sure there's plenty of IBEX terminals too. But I think Bitcoin Beach has a lot of that market share right now. Are you in talks with them at all as far as the bulk card? Will it work at those point of sales? Is it the same deal?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It will work exactly the same as IBEX. Yes, we are in talks with them. They actually released a bounty, I think, to for the integration of that for the public. So I think there is a bounty out there for that at the minute to integrate NFC payments. I'm not sure if it's been done yet or been started, but yeah, there's definitely movement there. I can't remember how much the bounty was for. I'd have to go and dig that out. I could maybe share that with you afterwards.
All right. So we covered UAE. All right. We covered El Salvador, right? And is there more? There's always more because he's been working so hard. Okay. Now, this just happened. I'm not sure if I was still in Africa or not. I was there in Ghana, but following suit of the Bitnob news, um, what is this? This is just from like 8-10 days ago. So
Yeah.
what's going on with this?
So yeah, this is similar to one of the things it's been frustrating, I think, for myself, and I know you were talking about other entrepreneurs and how they're fundraising and how it is difficult and the whole process. And I think in this industry as a whole, the negative news is so frustrating for companies like ourselves and other guys out there looking to raise and do legitimate things. What we've seen, especially over the last month or so, with even the Binance and the FTX arguing with each other on Twitter and doing everything, it's noise, it's drama, it's not particularly great for the industry as a whole. One of the things that I'm kind of doing in the background a lot of at the minute is trying to do the complete opposite to what Binance and FTX are doing with each other. And we're trying to pull the industry, the Bitcoin industry, should we say, and the Bitcoin companies around the world closer together, trying to make a bit more of a closer knit community as such there between us and better communication. So we can work with each other to create products like the remittance products like we're looking at there. So we can start working with these guys, helping each other out. We all operate in effectively different countries around the world. This is a perfect example of what can be done when you are working with the other guys and other companies in the industry, and helping each other out as well. Bitnob are a great company in the minute. They are in Nigeria, but they operate in Kenya and Ghana as well. And we're able now to communicate. We've been communicating with them for a couple of months and trying to figure out, similar to what Strike have done as well. And there are more to come as well, which I'll come on to in a second. But this effectively is starting to tap into where Bitcoin can be really useful from global payments, and the remittance market. So the remittance market globally, obviously a massive market for the UK and Europe to the three African countries we're talking about there, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. I think alone that's about £14 billion per year remittance back to these guys. It's a massive market. It's a troubled market, I think, as well, in terms of like Nigeria. A good example of that was TransferWise, which are obviously a massive global remittance company. They pulled out of Nigeria recently. I think they've actually just pulled out of Ghana as well recently for various reasons. That means obviously remittance is expensive when there's not much competition there, and it's costly and time slow effectively in terms of sending and receiving them payments. So working with Bitnob, we're able to get CoinCorner customers that can hold GBP or euros in their CoinCorner account. They can log into the app. They can effectively pick, like, say, Kenya, for example, enter a Kenyan mobile number, which then, for example, goes to their M-Pesa account in Kenya. They can click send. In the background, what we're doing is taking their GBP, buying Bitcoin with it, getting an invoice from Bitnob, and we are sending over the Lightning payment to Bitnob. Bitnob are flipping that into Kenyan shilling, for example, in Kenya, and sending that onto their M-Pesa account. So from GBP bank to Kenyan M-Pesa account, it's completed within, I think, about under a minute or two to hit the M-Pesa account at the other side. All over Lightning, cheaper, quicker, more readily available 24/7, 365. And FX obviously is far superior to what you would get with other companies around the world. So for me, this is an incredibly exciting. Obviously, we've got lots of exciting things, but this one for me is massively exciting. I think Bitcoin. The one thing I always try and tell people with Bitcoin is kind of like patience. You've got to be patient with Bitcoin adoption and how it works, and what Bitcoin is used for. Initially, we're seeing Bitcoin being used for investment, speculation, store of value. We're now seeing real world use cases where you can actually make payments. Cross-border payments is a big one. And this now with Lightning really starts to show how Bitcoin can be genuinely used in a real world, improving and going way beyond improving what currently is out there in the market in terms of the TransferWise and the likes. Basically solving pain points for individuals and for companies all around the world. So this for me is massively exciting. And we've got Africa obviously at the minute there, which has been announced. I assume by the time this video goes out as well, we will have another one which was due to go live today, but a slight delay, but hopefully live tomorrow, which will be to the Philippines as well. So that is a partnership with Pouch, which Pouch are, I'm sure you've probably seen Pouch and their Bitcoin island that they've been building in Boracay, I think it's called. They do very similar to what Bitnob does, and we will do the UK and Europe to the Philippines for the remittance market as well. And the product is effectively identical to what we're looking at there for Africa. So again, the Philippines market is massive from remittance from UK and Europe, and earlier on I touched on that briefly as well from Dubai. I think it's over a $2 billion a year market just from Dubai to the Philippines. So there's massive markets here that we can not only disrupt but really help people out where people may not have banking access. This can be incredibly positive for them. So yeah, that will be exciting to get live as well this week.
So north of 8%. on the fees. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's $16 on 200. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, and that's even quite generous, I think, in some places. Some cases we were seeing as high as I know people talk about 20% regions for some countries, depending on where they are. The research and the numbers we ran, we were seeing up to probably about 16% was the top end for I think that was UK to Nigeria, I think. And again, a lot of this is because of there's a lack of competition in these markets as well, and then there's a lack of infrastructure able to be accessed within these countries. So there's a and FX, the real time FX as well between Bitcoin and these local currencies is available 24/7, 365 days a year for Bitcoin because it's just always moving and the market's always there and it's always open. Obviously, when you're going through the likes of TransferWise and you go on a Saturday night, the FX markets are short and they're effectively giving you a rate that they hope they will be able to replicate on a Monday morning. So the margins and the spreads there are incredibly massive in comparison to what we can offer in a real time scenario. And it's the real time FX plus the real time settlement as well, having that settlement hit and arrive instantly as soon as you've paid it, in comparison to the Western Unions, the MoneyGrams, even TransferWise, are taking a number of days to arrive in these places. So yeah, I think it's incredibly exciting. We're seeing not only individuals, we've now got businesses that have kind of come forward to us just to talk to us in terms of how they can also use this product. So we have businesses from other African countries that want to, say, remit money back into Kenya or back into Nigeria, and they want to work with us to be able to move it from one country, say South Africa, for example, into Kenya. And how that can play out from a company perspective, not just at an individual level. So the interest in this is really, really positive at the minute, and I think that is, I guess, a big part of my excitement on this is what I'm. This is what Bitcoin was for. This kind of problem that it solves, this global money movement for me is really exciting. So yeah, really looking forward to next year with this.
All right,
Excuse me.
let's unpack just a little bit more about this and a few chess moves down the line on the board here. Okay, so CoinCorner, at least from our understanding of it in May earlier this year, was a 8-year-old exchange led by people at the tip of the spear, one of the first to ever implement Lightning. Just loads and loads of goodwill developed over this amount of time. Actually profitable. What a concept. Never really raised funds before, very small little round. But this is turning into much larger of an opportunity. Okay, this is not just a small exchange headquartered in the Isle of Man. Okay, this is not your DCA app and your friendly exchange with some merchant tools. They also have a shopping component. There's a lot of things that CoinCorner does if you really dig. But what it looks like now is that it's going after Wise or TransferWise, as they used to be known, right? And some of this massive remittance market, okay, that you're able to capture. Now, honestly, I'm just hearing about this Philippines now, okay, and we're waiting to close this deal with you. So I'm just hearing about that now. That's incredibly exciting, okay. And CoinCorner is shaping up to be a global financial services company. Okay, that is what's going on here, right? Their business is Bitcoin, but it is much more than that because the two people on either end of this receive and send have really no idea what's going on. And that's a bit of a deeper discussion as to people are going to be using Bitcoin and not even know it. What a concept. Yep. So let's talk about, does this, obviously not, right? But this is a partnership with Strike, okay? And the partnership with Pouch in the Philippines. So where next, if you had to think, is this now a main focus, or is this going to be a big part? And I mean, like, it seems like this would be an ideal partnership around the globe.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, one of the things that people always touch on, I think with CoinCorner especially, we offer a lot of different products and quite a range of products from payment gateway perspective, the e-commerce side and email invoices and so on, to the B2C side. For us, and I guess the way we look at this and the way that we operate, at the core of the business, it's a Bitcoin Lightning transaction. It's a Bitcoin transaction. Everything throughout all of these products are effectively just Bitcoin transactions. So they are just money movement, I guess, in some capacity, whether that's going from a consumer to the business, from a business to business, whether it's going remittance and cross border. They are effectively just a Bitcoin Lightning transaction. And touching on what you said there in terms of it sometimes, for example, with the remittance products, Nigerian may send from CoinCorner back to Nigeria to Bitnob, and they've sent from pounds in the UK to Nigerian Naira, and they may not even realize they're using Bitcoin and Lightning, and that transaction happens. But at the core of it, everything is purely just a Bitcoin transaction or a Bitcoin Lightning transaction. So it keeps it fairly simple for us as a company to have that focus. Where we've, I guess, differentiated ourselves over the years as well, away from the Binances and the Coinbases and the Krakens and so on, where they've added lots and lots of altcoins, and their business model has become altcoin casino, basically, is a nice term to put it. But their business model is speculation on cryptocurrencies, and that's something that we've tried to avoid and try to focus on the long term of what Bitcoin becomes, and it is that money movement around the world in whatever capacity that looks like. So, for example, with the remittance product, where we have now with Bitnob and moving money into Africa, we're now opening with Pouch, as I mentioned, and then obviously that's an additional development, should we call it? But the development in itself is very, very simple in terms of our product is still the same. We're just connecting into their APIs in the ways that we need to. That's great. So we have more lined up as well. In a couple of other countries in Asia, South Americas, and Americas. So we have a couple of other companies that we're already talking to, and that's part of the way I'm wanting to try and bring all these companies together to help work together and build this global remittance offering via Lightning in every direction as well. So it can eventually come from Nigeria back to the UK and the US to the UK and UK to the US and so on. As I'm sure you'll figure out who that may be with. But what we're doing then, what I'm trying to help bring together as well with that, you guys will know about LNURL and how LNURL works. But for other guys listening, LNURL is simply a protocol, a rule that we will all abide by. And what I'm trying to create at the minute, what we've been working with some of the guys to try and create in the background is an LNURL LUD, you call it. So the proposal, which will then be a kind of like a remittance proposal. So it means that we will, from our side, develop the infrastructure we need to communicate with this LNURL in mind, which will then interact with Bitnob and will interact with Pouch and with everybody else, and vice versa. They'll be able to interact back with us and remit money around the world via LNURL. At which point, once we've built that and we've done, because of the way LNURL works and because it's interoperable with everybody there that wants to join, as new people come in, so say somebody comes in from Malaysia and someone comes in from Mexico and so on, they will be compatible with LNURL, which automatically makes it compatible with CoinCorner. So basically, once we've done this base layer, this base foundational development side, and we've all agreed an LNURL proposal and protocol, at that point, everybody in the world, that is the Lightning companies around the world, the Pouch, the Bitnobs, the Strikes, everybody can come together. They will all automatically, interoperably, the way Bitcoin is meant to be, interoperably work with each other and process transactions all around the world in a remittance concept. So that is the longer vision, completely what you're going towards there, this global remittance in all the different jurisdictions around the world that hopefully there's going to be a Bitcoin Lightning company in every jurisdiction around the world eventually. And they'll all just work interoperably with us as they come onto the scene and develop the LNURL capabilities there. Sorry, my throat's going.
All right. So not to spend too much time on this, but a couple of quick questions here. So you're free to do remittances everywhere, right? You've secured your license on your end. It's not like you need a license in each one of these countries, or every country is different.
No, we deal with our side, so the UK and Europe. From our perspective, it's a lightning
It's your
transaction.
partner. Okay.
It goes to wherever it goes to. The power of that is massive because you think of like TransferWise, and TransferWise have to have their company in every jurisdiction around the world that they're operating in. We just have to have our own, and we can remit to everybody around the world that has another version of CoinCorner in these countries. And that's where we'll see them, the Bitnobs, the pouches, they're all cropping up now and starting to move. So I think that's a really powerful thing to, you hear quite often people say, you know, how do, like CoinCorner, for example, how do you compete with Visa? How do you compete with Western Union? And we don't
They're
have to.
done. This
And
is it.
yeah,
It's
and
over.
no, we don't have to. And we as a whole collective, ourselves, Strike, Pouch, Bitnob, everybody around there doing this, we are effectively coming together to compete, and Bitcoin and Lightning kind of competes with that. And it's not CoinCorner against Western Union. It's the whole of our industry is going to build this, I guess, new broken down version of Western Union and TransferWise and the like. So I think it's really exciting place to be in at the minute, which is exactly where I want to be.
I mean, Visa's only like a 300, probably north of $350 billion company. So, everyone banding together to take a proportional share of that is that's a lot of cake,
Yeah.
Danny. That's a lot of
Yeah.
cake. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
so let me just reiterate. This is Europe. Okay, this
Mhm.
is the UK and Europe. All right. So there are a lot of remittances. That's a big chunk. That's 400 plus, give or take, million people.
Mhm.
Okay. That Danny has access to right there for remittances in Europe, in the UK. All right. That is very, very big. And I'm so excited. Now I heard Asia, and I heard Latin America. All right. I can
Mhm.
take guesses in my head, we'll see. But
Yeah.
that is super, super exciting, and especially everyone working together with one common goal to skin these people alive. All right.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. All right. And you had a statement to some of your investors. It was a private statement, but it basically just letting everyone know that you had nothing to do with FTX. And
Yep.
you basically stood by, how you run your shop. Danny, do you want to just say that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think similar to what I touched on earlier on, of FTX was a people problem, not a Bitcoin problem or cryptocurrency problem, which I think a lot of the industry understands. The outside world, unfortunately, doesn't quite yet, and that's education. But yeah, what we've always done, and the way we do it, is everything's pegged 1 to 1. We don't do any trading in the background or any fractional reserve banking in any respects. So yeah, we've always been that way, and that is the plan to always go that way as well. It's not something we're looking to operate in the way they did. Unfortunately, it's going to happen in it's not just this industry; it's every industry around the world that these sort of things happen and fraud happens, and it just gives the industry a bad name. Some of the One of the things I was explaining to somebody else a couple of weeks ago about this, and there's all the there's talk around how does this problem be solved? How is it solved at the minute in terms of proof of reserves has been cropping up, and Binance tried to do the proof of reserves. That's turned into absolute carnage for them. And the reality is you can't really even though, yes, Bitcoin has blockchain and you can do a proof of reserves of we hold this much, but you've got the assets, but you've not got the liabilities. So it doesn't really work exactly as people are hoping and wanting to do there. What we actually did, coincidentally, back in March, January, February time, we were inspected by a local financial services authority here in the Isle of Man. We have that inspection every 3 or 4 years. I think it is every 4 years they come in and inspect. They inspected in January, went through that process, all fine. They asked if we could share feedback with them. And the feedback we actually gave them, there was one piece of feedback we gave them, very coincidental to the FTX thing, but the feedback was from a financial services authority perspective, what we would like to see you guys do, and where we think that would put you guys on the forefront of regulation around the world, is to actually audit us financially to make sure we have and hold the balances we say we hold for the customers. In that way, then there's an actual regulator overseeing the financial audit, whether we will be financially audited by a third party, your KPMGs, your Deloittes, and the likes, and that would then be overseen by the FSA here in the Isle of Man. We did put that forward to them. We've not really heard anything back, unfortunately, on that, but that's the way we want to see the industry going and the way we see that moving forward. So, yeah, it was kind of nice, I think, that we have that communication with the FSA here, and they've been able to ask for feedback at that level, and we've obviously given them something. It's potentially something they will look to bring into in the future, I hope. But that would be my way to help, I think, a lot of these companies solve the proof of reserves problem. The other side of the proof of reserves problem is come and withdraw your Bitcoins and everything from us. That's another one of the things. I think Jesse from Kraken said very well. That's, the likes of Kraken, the likes of ourselves, we hold a lot of Bitcoin for clients, and we get nothing from that. We don't want that. We don't want them. We don't want to hold their funds. It's nothing but risk to us. So we would much rather the clients come and hold their Bitcoins themselves. So yeah, the best way for proof of reserves, I guess, is come and withdraw your Bitcoins from us. And hopefully customers do that and self-custody. But I think that's going to be quite some time off at 100% capacity yet. So yeah, that's a general overview, I guess, of where FTX has left us all.
It's cool that you're doing the opposite in nearly every way. Okay, and it's going to make for some really cool joint marketing partnerships between you and your partners all around the world, right? Because they have a captive audience of however many installs, and it's real easy to let people know when they need to send money to, I don't know, 45 countries. This is a way to do it easily, cheaply, and right there in the app that they already have. So that's really exciting. Okay, so let's talk about, and I know we're rambling on here, but the Bolt card. Okay, how many have shipped so far? Where is this at?
Just over, I think we're just over 10,000 have shipped. They've been, I think that's to about 40, don't quote me, but maybe 42, 43 countries around the world have received Bolt cards. I think something incredible one of my favorite ones. It's been incredible to see people using these in the wild and seeing this actually being really used, which is just incredible to see as a feeling, I think, from the company side. We saw one in Brazil, I think it was, with some children actually using Bolt cards to pay at school. I think it was their school, and buying fruit. And that was incredible to see. That was exactly what we hope this becomes and what we hope Bitcoin becomes. It was, yeah, really nice to see.
All right, Danny, I got a question here, and it says, "Win USA for Bolt." And I have to say, I sympathize with this. I've seen the magic in person, but what's the deal? What's the hang up with getting these things in the US of A?
It's the regulatory, so the licenses in the US, they cost a lot and very time consuming. I think you guys will have seen over the last couple of months, especially the likes of, I think River have been a big highlighter of this, where River have built their own infrastructure, but also gained their own licenses, which gives them the freedom to do what they need to do. Whereas, unfortunately, the likes of Strike and Swan, I think, were caught up in the Prime Trust situation, where Prime Trust went down, and they all have the regulatory framework backed out to Prime Trust. So we have explored this, and we continue to explore this. I think once the funding round closes, we will then look to reassess at what timescale we can potentially open up to the US. That would initially have to be through the likes of a Prime Trust setup and capacity. Eventually looking to gain licenses on a state-by-state basis ourselves, which I think is what all the guys generally do eventually. It just takes a little bit of time. So unfortunately, it's regulatory and time just holding that up at the minute.
Okay. And maybe that's something we or one of our amazing people might be able to help with. Is
Yeah.
a couple of ideas there. All right, let's talk about this real quick. This is fun. This gift card setup. This is pretty interesting. I mean, I can just play the video, or you can, if you want to, just go over it. What do you? How does this work? Can you explain this?
Yep. Yeah. So this is I guess, a nice way of what we saw to be able to gift. So the bulk card can be used as a payments card, going and tapping on a POS, but obviously it can be used in lots of different NFC capabilities. So you
Wait a
can,
minute.
from the coin.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me, Danny, that the bulk card could be used as a gift card at all of these retailers worldwide in those places that you shop? Are you serious?
It can be used. No, it can be used as a gift card to gift to someone, and they can sweep the Sats. That gift card can be used at any Bitcoin terminal as well. So anywhere that accepts a bulk card will also gift card, bulk card interoperable. So it will work with both. So the idea is, from the CoinCorner wallet, you can, if you play the video, it probably, yeah, I'll show you how to set the gift card up. And the idea is you can give these out for Christmas, obviously coming up, is a good time for birthdays. You can top it up with £10 worth of $10 worth of Sats. So the minute this is going to, in the CoinCorner app, go into the gift card setup page, enter I think that's just a description of who this is going to, for example. Enter the amount of Sats that you want to put in. You can switch that as well to pounds, euros, equivalents. You would then, at this point now, we're just saying scan, touch the card onto your phone. So that touch there is effectively setting up that card to have, I think, was it 1,000 Sats? I can't quite see on the screen there. 1,000 Sats onto the card available. So you can gift that out as a birthday present, or you can actually use that as almost like a prepaid card that you can go and use at Bitcoin POS systems.
Let me ask you a question. So, what is the difference between this NFC capability and the tap to pay that you might have on any Visa or MasterCard? How different are those?
So in terms of, from an actual physical card, the tap to pay, it's very similar. It's still both using NFC technology, and slight differences, but generally from a technical perspective, very similar. The way, again, we've built that is because we wanted that to be eventually interoperable with your phones, and you'll be able to, like, use tap and pay with, say, your iPhone and Apple Pay and Google Pay. And the idea and the concept, eventually, that will then also be capable to do exactly the same thing with your phones. We've got, it's pretty cool. We've been playing around with the cards, and we've actually got rings as well, Bolt rings. I don't know if you've seen them on socials at the minute. So we've got some of them, so you can just wear a ring, and you can have that set up as your card, so you can just tap and pay with your ring. But we're finding various use cases, because it's an NFC card or an NFC device, whatever that may be, that we can have a bit more control over, rather than a Visa card, which doesn't give you any control at all. It just does the one thing. You can actually, we've wired these up. So I have my bulk card that I can tap and pay in the shops here in the Isle of Man and pay with Bitcoin. But our door, as we come into our office, I can tap on the door, and it actually lets me in through the door. So it's become a dual use NFC card as well, that we're playing around with, all sorts of geeky things like that.
Interesting. Well, that opens up a million other things that you can do with this card. So I actually saw one of those rings. Nicholas Bertie had one in Ghana. I saw the ring. I don't know if he made it or where it came from, but it was definitely cool. So let me just ask you one question, and then I swear, all right, I'm done. All right, we talked way too long, but just for fun. Okay, so let's just say that I wanted to buy a gift card. Okay, let's say I wanted to buy a gift card for McDonald's, whatever, any place, and I paid with Sats and loaded it on this card, right? But what I was actually doing was purchasing that gift card from you or a partner. and it put that value on that card. If that merchant then had the POS system to accept their own gift cards, right, which they sell, would that actually work as a way to pay? Is that the same technology, or I mean, do you see that potential? Because that sounds really cool.
Um, there's probably potential for that. It wouldn't work at the minute, um, but yeah, there's probably potential because it is effectively. That is interesting. I'd have to have a look at that, but yeah, there's potential, definitely. We would have to see how exactly that fits because you could potentially. Okay, now I'm intrigued.
All right. So moving
Leave
on
that with
before
me.
we're done.
Yeah.
If you want to maybe have a chance to hang out with Danny and the team, there is some sort of a pleb event that's going on there August 4th. I would love to check out that little island and get to that part of the world. So that's Bitcoin Takeover. I don't know if there's a website. I don't know how real this is, but I imagine that you guys will be there for that. So I definitely wanted to plug that. And I also wanted to just see if you had any other updates or just wanted to let people know during these crazy uncertainty, economic bear market periods, right? This winter, everything that's going on, CoinCorner is rather healthy. And that's a big part of our thesis is investing in companies that are decoupled from price volatility and price movement. And I'm proud to report many of our companies are experiencing record months and great months during otherwise what you would assume is a terrible period. Do you want to talk about any of your recent volume signups or KPIs, whatever you're looking at, and just maybe, how you feel about the way that you've grown, or
Yep.
maybe not even grown, but just, it's amazing the way that this looks on a chart over an otherwise terrible period.
Yeah, I think sure. That's great to hear as well from your portfolio of companies there that they are strong as well, which is nice to see. And I think that's massively down to I guess the Bitcoin focus in some ways. Not that it solves every problem there, but the Bitcoin focus is pulling away from people buying and speculating on the price and the volatility and the movements, and instead focused on the utility and how to actually use Bitcoin. So, yeah, even though during the months of the bull periods where Bitcoin's price is going crazy, we do record volumes and we do massive volumes because people are buying and selling Bitcoin from speculative angles. However, during the bear periods, I think what we've done, and which I'm really, I guess, proud of and happy with within the company of what we've done with CoinCorner, is creating that utility purpose with the B2B side of things, where we've got merchants accepting Bitcoin for all sorts of products and services. And they effectively, during the bear periods, which typically your Krakens, your Binance, and Coinbases and everything, they're seeing low volumes, and their whole business model is built on speculation and the price movements. And if during these bear periods the price is pretty much just down, nobody's coming, nobody's has that interest, they, as you've seen yourselves in the industry at the minute, the layoffs. I think Kraken laid 30% off recently. Coinbase was 20%. Everybody else, I think Binance is the only one that's been hiring, which I'm a bit unsure with. But you're seeing the layoffs there because their volumes are so heavily down, and that is their business model. Our business model, as long with a lot of other Bitcoin companies out there, is more about the utility of Bitcoin and how it works, and that helps us in these bear periods to sustain the health of the company and the revenues over that time. So yeah, our volumes, our monthly volumes in particular, I think I've shared a graph with you recently in terms of the merchant volumes, and our merchant volumes are going up. I think November is probably a record month for merchant volumes. So in terms of people accepting Bitcoin, I think I can't quite remember the numbers off the top of my head there, but the chart will effectively show that I've shared with you guys
We
already.
don't need
And
numbers.
that's
We don't need numbers here. We're just chatting about it.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's just massively showing and where that volume has come from has been companies around the world that are maybe doing cross-border payments. It's a collection of companies, some doing cross-border payments, some selling luxury goods still. Coming up to Christmas, obviously, is a luxury good opportunity there. So yeah, there's the real world use cases that we're seeing play out and actually see the volume, real volume coming through for these companies, which obviously then makes us revenue and makes us sustainable throughout these bear periods. So yeah, from a bear period perspective, I think we've yourself and myself, been around this industry long enough to know that the bear periods come, the bear periods go. It happens every 4 years, and the cycles repeat. Human behavior doesn't, even though we kind of all know it, human behavior still gets, people still get carried away in the bull periods, still get scared in the bear periods. But yeah, just to know, I think, and something I try and help comfort people around the industry and other people that are new to the industry, is this is normal for Bitcoin. This is normal for this industry. This is all part of the process. And I think CoinCorner being around as long as we have, we've learned that over these years, and we know and expect that, and we prepare for these periods, which is exactly what we've done in terms of creating the B2B side of the business as well. So yeah, it's all part of the cycle, all part of the fun and the enjoyment. But I think I look forward now to 2023, and I think the uptrend is starting to hopefully come back in at that point, and hopefully cheer people up a little bit and move into a more positive direction in 2023.
And finally, okay, let's not forget about this news that happened since May. So real quick, what is this?
So Oxford City Football Club, so they are a football club in the UK. They now accept Bitcoin. So the partnership there with the guys there, they accept Bitcoin at their football stadium for the tickets, for the drinks, for the food, everything there. They're the first National League club, as it mentions there, to accept Bitcoin in the UK. There's, I think, only two at the minute, which is Oxford and Real Bedford, which is Peter McCormick's football club here in the UK, that accept Bitcoin and operate on a bit of a Bitcoin standard, should we say.
So let me ask you then, did they give you some nice signage in that stadium, or what does it
Yeah,
look like in there?
yeah, it's not quite the stadiums maybe you'll be used to in the US that you see the crypto.coms and the like sponsoring. This is more small scale. This was more about Bitcoin payments and getting people to be adopting Bitcoin payments in the UK, rather than the big sponsorships. But yeah, there's a couple of Bitcoin CoinCorner signs up around the pitch. And obviously on the back of the shirts, there's the Bitcoin and CoinCorner sponsorship as well.
Ah, so not yet on the website, just in the stadium.
No, unfortunately, it is meant to be coming to the website. Unfortunately, they actually use a third-party company, which is the Macron store. You can see at the top.
Got
So
you.
they just haven't had the capacity at the minute to actually finish the development. So hopefully that will come in due course.
All right. Well, still awesome news nonetheless. All
Yeah,
right, cool, man. We kept you too long. I'm sorry if I rambled. Just really exciting. Everything that's happened, um, you know, since the beginning to now. And I can't wait to get this thing closed out. And
me too. Yeah,
I don't want to say a bunch of stuff I shouldn't say right now, but I'm very excited about CoinCorner. I'm very excited about what you're building. I'll leave it at that. And we hope to have this closed out soon, and you'll be done with this whole
yeah,
thing, right? There'll be a nice press release and all these other
yeah,
investors, and it's going to be a great, great time. And you can go back to building and not worrying about this stuff.
yeah.
All
For a little
right,
bit, yeah.
man.
That's the plan.
All right.
Thank you, Mike. Say it
Yes,
again.
thanks for hanging, and we'll catch up again soon.
Cool. Thank you.